To turn it over today to Lori and Noah. They have something they want to show us, and I've been excited for this for a while. So I'll let you guys take it away. Take the time you need.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to read some Torah for you today. I'm going to be reading from my Torah portion, which is Deuteronomy chapter 32. In Hebrew, this is called ha'azinu, which means give ear. So right away, you know there's something important going on. So it literally means listen up, give ear. So in Jewish tradition, there are 54 Torah portions, and they're read. Every Torah portion, all 54 Torah portions, are read each year in a reading cycle. Every observant Jewish person around the world is reading the same portion every week. And each Hebrew kid who has a bar or bat mitzvah when they're 13 is assigned a Torah portion, and that's their Torah portion. And this is usually based on when they're born in the year. So, and then once they have this Torah portion, they study it and they learn it and they chant it when they're 13. This is kind of a graduation, right? The next stage of life, right? So I'm going to read for you a little bit of my portion. We have a Torah scroll here, which is like the first 5 books of the Bible, and it's all in Hebrew. It's not English. It's in Hebrew, and there are no vowels. So, you've got to be able to see the words without the vowels. I will be wearing a few garments while I read. The first thing I'm going to wear is a kippah. We're not commanded to wear kippah in the Bible, but it is a way to show respect for God and honor God. I will also be wearing a talit, or prayer shawl. And you'll notice, I'll show it to you here, this is a talit. You'll notice on the corners of the talit, you have these tassels. And we're commanded, or the Jewish people are commanded in the book of Numbers to wear these tassels. Jewish men are commanded to wear these tassels on the corners of their garments. So, I'm going to go over the Torah here, maybe.
And what do the tassels remind us?
Oh, yes, sorry about that. The tassels do remind us to keep God's commandments. Yeah, okay. So, go over the Torah scroll here, and we can undress it.
Yes.
I'm on backwards.
Yeah. And there are traditional prayers that might be said in a service before donning the talit. But since we're not in a service, it's really just a demonstration. He won't say this. So I'll let you lift it up. You'll notice that the Torah scroll is wrapped in a talit for storage, and that would be the traditional way to store it and to move it from place to place, unless it's stored in the ark. And the ark is a special piece of furniture found in the synagogue for storing the Torah scroll. And you'll notice that the Torah scroll is also dressed in a special cover. We'll be talking with you about this in a moment.
Yeah.
I will undress the Torah. And just as an aside, because Noah didn't review this, the handles are called eitzim. So the word eitz means tree. And in Proverbs we read that the Torah, the instruction of God, is a tree of life for those who take hold of it. And so these are the eitz chaim, the tree of life, or the eitzim, the handles, the wooden handles.
Now, do a lot of people have their own Torah? This is like your own?
No, yeah. Though traditionally, though almost always, every Jewish synagogue does have a Torah scroll. But no.
And just as an aside, the Torahs are hand printed. Every single letter is hand printed. Noah may be able to talk with you a bit about this. They're printed on vellum, which is an animal skin from a kosher animal, by a sofer, a scribe who trains his whole life to prayerfully inscribe every single letter of the Torah. The mixture for the ink is a mixture of wax and ashes, if I remember correctly. And it's still the same mixture that's been used for generations. The recipe's been handed down. The sofer uses special quills to print the Torah scroll, and then he scores the Torah with lines to keep them straight. And then every letter is copied from a kosher Torah scroll. He prays special prayers and blessings before beginning. He immerses in a mikvah, which is analogous to a baptismal font, prior to beginning his work each day. He says special prayers every time that he writes the sacred four-letter name of God, Yod-He Vav-He, the Tetragrammaton. And every letter must be perfect. If even a single letter is smudged or cracked, the entire scroll has to be buried.
Oh, wow.
It's not a kosher scroll. And so this is a kosher Torah scroll which was brought back to our congregation by two of our founding members. They flew to Jerusalem to get it. I don't know how old it is. I meant to find out that detail for you. But it's been preserved, it's been repaired. When you come up to look at it, you'll see that some repairs have been made. The pieces of vellum are sewn together with sinew, so that is also from an animal. And with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, so yeah, you'll all be welcome to come up and look at it afterwards. I would welcome you to come up and look while I read, but it would be a little bit squished. Yeah, it's really amazing how careful the Jewish people are when copying down these Torah scrolls. And yeah.
And that shows why the Word of God has been preserved so accurately, because this tradition has been followed so that every letter is carefully copied and preserved across generations.
Do we have handouts for the?
We do. So, so just for grins, because I'm his mom, I brought you this special bag, which his aunt, great aunt, lovingly embroidered for Noah on the occasion of his Bar Mitzvah. And this bag was created to hold the bag that holds his talit. And then, because she's his aunt, she created a bag to hold the bag that holds the bag that holds the talit. And so the idea is that he can schlep this around with him to synagogue services for the remainder of his life. And this was a talit that he picked out himself prior to his Bar Mitzvah. That was really special to take him to pick that out. And then I also brought along the tikkun. I told you about that before. The tikkun will show you how his Torah portion appears in the Torah scroll. And you'll see that these two pages mirror one another. One appears as it does in the scroll with no vowels and no trope, and the other appears with those helpful aids. And so when he was preparing to learn his Bar Mitzvah portion, we used this book, the Tikkun, and he learned it first with the vowel points and the trope, and then he practiced in this book. And that is how Jewish men and women prepare to read from the Torah scroll even today, using the Tikkun. So for fun, you can look at this. And then finally, and last but not least, the leader's wife at our congregation spent some time in Peru as a Bible translator and a teacher. And he spent some time in Peru with her as well. And she really believed that it's important for people to understand what they're hearing. When the Hebrew goes by, it goes by quickly, and the members of the congregation don't always have a full understanding. And so the leader of our congregation, who has an amazing imagination and is quite an incredible biblical scholar, spontaneously began to translate from the Torah scroll, chanting in English. And we fondly named that form of chanting Hebrewish. As far as we know, it's only done at our congregation. And as far as I know, Noah and Matthew are probably the only only 2 kids in the world who've chanted their Torah portion in Hebrew and in English, and I've provided you with the English chanting. Our congregation leader's wife, Pat Feinberg, and Jeff wrote a book to teach the trope, and the book contains a musical score so that if you play a musical instrument, you can learn the tune for yourself. But she also created a numbering system with numbers 1 through 8 for each of the musical notes. So that even people who don't read music can follow along. And so I'm giving you this handout so that you can follow along when he chants in the English. I did leave out one line on the second page, but if you follow carefully, you can find that. And if you want to take a look at that, you can. So here you have it. All right.
Okay. Yeah. So it's also traditional not to point to the Torah with your fingers. So I have this pointer. It's called a yad, and I guess they kind of have a certain significance in the Jewish tradition. So I'll be pointing to the text while I read. Like my mom said, I'm gonna be singing it both in Hebrew and in English. And then I'll actually be pointing to the Hebrew word while I sing the English words too. So I'll do it twice. Like I said, I'm going to read from my portion, which is Deuteronomy 32. I'll be reading from both the beginning and the end. So kind of the bookends of it. I encourage you to read Deuteronomy chapter 32. It's really an important passage. I really was blessed to have this portion. It's Moses' last word to the people of Israel before they go into the Promised Land. And you'll recall, right, Moses is not going to get to go into the Promised Land. God does not let him go in with the people. So this is his last message to them before they go in, and he dies outside the land in the wilderness. My portion says that it starts out, you'll hear this in the beginning, it starts out by saying, Moses encouraging the people to listen up. And it lays out a very, I guess, simple, it's not simple, but it lays out a message that says, if you follow my commandments, I will bless you and you'll stay in the land of Israel. And I'll multiply you. And if you don't follow his commandments, I'll scatter you, and there's some very colorful language about what he's going to do. But what's interesting is there's a redemptive path even within the curse, within the curses, right? If they don't follow the commands, where God will call them back, and he says in the portion he'll use non-Jews to make the Jews jealous and make them want to come back. And
And so the promise is that even though I'll scatter you, I will regather you. And if you go to Romans chapter 10, you'll see that Paul quotes this passage, Deuteronomy chapter 32, where he says, God says, you made me red-faced, you made me angry with a no God. And therefore, with a no people, that's us, I will provoke you to jealousy. And the idea is that when our Jewish brothers and sisters see our love for God, our love for Yeshua the Messiah, our love for one another, it's an invitation for them to return to the God of compassion, the God of kindness, the God who is slow to anger, the God who reveals himself in the Torah, who's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, who came to us in the person of Messiah to call us to himself, that the people that he appointed to be a light to the nations would return as well.
okay, so I guess I'll read some of it for you.
And I don't have my phone, by the way, David, so I can't be a timekeeper. I actually forgot it. So let us know. Will those stay steady, or do you need me to hold it? Sometimes it has a
This
tendency
one's
to...
gonna wanna come
It
close.
has a tendency to roll up on itself, so you'll see that one end is quite a bit fatter than the other. And that's because we're in Deuteronomy, we're at the end of the Torah scroll. And just as an aside, we would normally be reading this passage in the fall prior to a holiday called Simchat Torah, the joy of the Torah, at which point we're at the very end of the scroll. And then there's a special celebratory service in which the men and women of the congregation get together and roll it all the way back to Reshit, the book of Genesis, the very beginning, to begin the cycle anew in the fall after the holiday season, and then they roll through the entire book again throughout the year. So that's part of why it wants to roll up on itself, because we're here at the end. All right, and are you going to say the blessings or not?
Sure, we'll say the blessings.
All right.
Do you have the sheet?
I do have the sheet. I don't have them for all of you, but I do have them for you. So traditionally, if you were in the synagogue service, it would be appropriate to, you can just use this or you can use that, to chant a blessing before opening the Torah, and it sounds like this.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach. And then the second part is Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah. Amen. And
I was going to say, you'll notice that he bowed. Bend the knee on Baruch, bow on Atah, raise his head for Adonai, each time he recited that in the blessing, and the congregation would do that as well.
so I'll just tell you what the blessing means. Bless the Lord, the Blessed One. Blessed is the Lord, the Blessed One, for all eternity. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has chosen us from all peoples and given us his Torah. Blessed are you, O Lord, giver of the Torah. So, like I said, yeah, or like my mom said actually, it's traditional to say an opening blessing and a closing blessing before and after the reading. Okay, so I'll be reading verses 1 through 6. I should talk a little bit about the trope.
Oh, yeah.
So, there's a tune that's sung that's chanted with the Hebrew text. So we're not just saying it, we're singing it. And if you study the trope, there's often meaningful emphasis that can be seen. The trope emphasizes what's going on in the text. The trope mirrors what's going on in the text. And not only is the trope another cool layer of meaning, but it's easier to remember a song when you're singing it than if you're saying it. So I'll start out with the Hebrew. This is verses 1 through 6 if you're interested. Ha'azinu hashamayim va'adabera v'tishma ha'aretz im lefi yarov kamatar lichi tizal katal imrati kisirim ale deshe v'chirvivim ale esev ki shem Adonai ekra avu godel Eloheinu Hatzur tamim pa'alo ki kol drachav mishpat el emunah v'ein avel tzadik v'yashar hu shichei lo banav mumam dor ikei shuvtato hal Adonai tigmlu zot am naval v'lo chacham halahu avi kakanecha Hu asacha v'ikonenecha. I'll sing in English now. Give ear, O heavens, and I will speak, and may hear the earth sayings of my mouth. May trickle like rain my teaching, distill like dew my speech, like gentle rain on new grass, like showers on vegetation. For the name of the Lord I shall proclaim, ascribe greatness to our God. The rock, blameless is his work, indeed all his ways are just. A God of faithfulness without iniquity, righteous and upright is he. Is it to the Lord you pay back this, O people foolish and not wise? Is not he your father who ransomed you? He made you and he established you. My apologies, I skipped one verse in the English.
Yeah, I saw when you lost your place, but. And when a reader reads, there are witnesses standing at the bema to be sure that the text is read accurately. And so in a synagogue service, we might even go back and repeat that so that the Word of God is proclaimed perfectly. But for teaching purposes, we're going to just
Let it slide.
count that as good enough. And now he'll jump ahead to the end of the passage. And my apologies, I've skipped one verse in the English. But if you're following along, you can see that not only do the letters bounce up and down, but they follow the numbering system as well. But first in the Hebrew.
So yeah, this is the end. This is 43 through 48. Right? ויבוא משה וידבר את כל דברי השירה הזאת באוזני העם הוא והושיע בן נון ויכל משה לדבר את כל הדברים האלה אל כל ישראל ויאמר עליהם שימו לבבכם לכל הדברים אשר אנוכי מעיד בכם היום אשר תצוום את בניכם לשמור לעשות את כל דברי התורה הזאת כי לא דבר ריק הוא מכם כי הוא חייכם ובדבר הזה תאריכו ימים על האדמה אשר אתם עוברים את הירדן שמה לרשתך. And came Moses, and he spoke all the words of the song in the ears of the people, he and Joshua son of Nun. And finished Moses speaking all the words, these ones to all Israel. And he said to them, put in your hearts all the words that I call as witness against you today, that you may command your children to keep, to do all the words of the instruction, this one. For not a thing empty is it for you, because it is your life. And by the word this one, you shall prolong your days in the land, which you all are crossing over the Jordan, over there to possess it.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll say the closing blessing now. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam neta b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. That means, blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has given us the Torah of truth and has planted eternal life in our midst. Blessed are you, O Lord, giver of the Torah. One interesting fact about the trope is at the end of every section, you hear this special melody. You heard it before. Da 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 da. That's like a big period, right? That's saying it's the end of a section. And there's a more simple tune for the end of every sentence. So just some interesting facts about the trope, I guess.
Yeah. The trope, our congregation leader likes to believe that and he's not the only one, of course, he's learned this through scholarly study, that the trope not only point to the accented syllable, as David said, but they also point to the underlying grammatical structure of each verse. They provide a musical score, as Noah said, But he likes to say that the trope is also a commentary, that the Torah is meant to be memorized as a song in our hearts, and that the trope are like the score of an opera, that they really emphasize some of the words. And so just as a fun aside, when Noah was 4 or 5 years old, our congregation leader got this wild idea that there are 54 verses in Ha'azinu and that we all, as a congregation, should memorize the entire song. And so we spent an entire year memorizing this song as a congregation. We memorized a verse a week for a year. So when Noah was 5 years old, before we even knew that this was his Torah portion, he was already learning that along with Ring Around the Rosie and other songs, which was very fun for me as a mom. And then later, when Noah was preparing for his Bar Mitzvah, we all memorized his portion. Again, by then there had been some turnover in the year, as well as his Haftorah portion. So when we prepare a kid for Bar Mitzvah, we all learn the entire portion and the Haftorah portion together as a song in our hearts, so that we can carry that forward as a group.
So yeah, if you were listening to the English at the end, it kind of is a little bit what I was talking about. Moses says, "Not a thing empty is it for you, because it is your life." And remember the word of this one as you're crossing over into the land. So yeah, should we have them come?
Yeah, I think that's.
So yeah, that's about it. You're welcome. Please come up and look at it. I can show you. I can try to answer questions if I can answer them. Please don't touch the scroll. But other than that, yeah.
Let me.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
No, sorry.
Real quick.
You gotta close out. I forgot.
You're fine. Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you so much for that. That was wonderful. I know very little